Now, in this lecture, we're going to talk about the role of prices. Prices serve an important function. They're more than just an obstacle in order preventing you from getting what you want. Prices are not randomly chosen. They reflect certain underlying realities of relative scarcities within an economy. So the question we might ask, why is the price of beachfront homes so high? Now, the price of beachfront homes are high because at first, there's a limited supply. There's only so much coastline that people can build houses on. Second of all, people tend to really enjoy living by the ocean. It's a wonderful view. It's a nice, relaxing place to live. So because of this, prices tend to be high. These high prices are not an example of price gouging. It's not an example of trying to take advantage of people. These prices are high because of the reality that there's a limited supply and there's a large demand for beachfront homes. Now, prices have two very important roles in an economy. When you think of prices, I want you to think of prices as both a signal and as an incentive. So prices are a signal in that they aggregate and they transmit knowledge. So what they do is knowledge is spread out across the economy. Very few, and really no one can know all the knowledge, even in a particular industry, let alone of the entire economy. So what prices do is they aggregate that knowledge. Because of the every good or resource has alternate uses, the prices show how much something is worth to all the market participants. So if it's worth a lot to one individual in the market, and they will bid up the price more than others are willing and able to pay. Thus, them being willing to spend more signals to others that there are more highly valued uses for that resource. So they'll tend to conserve that resource or they'll use a different resource. It also acts as an incentive. The change in price encourages people to consume more or less of a resource or of a product. And this signal and incentive, these two roles, they take place at the same time. So far, that's the most efficient way that we can conserve resources for those who value them most. Prices help coordinate human action. People spread out across the economy who don't know about each other are able to find out whether one person does or does not value a good as highly as they do. And through this process, it's able to aggregate and transmit that. So, why aren't desks made from gold? They aren't because of prices, because prices signal to producers, whatever firm is making desks, that there's far better ways to use gold. So because of that, they don't use gold. They use something else. They may use wood, they may use metal, whatever desks are made out of. It's something that's less valuable. It doesn't have other uses that people value more highly. And because of prices, firms are able to understand that. They're able to recognize that. And they're incentivized to switch to some other resource that has less valuable uses. Let's look at another example. What happens when the price of oil increases? So say gas goes from $2 a gallon to $5 a gallon. Well, that's a signal to consumers that there's less gasoline. Typically, this price increase, when gas increases, it's because there's a lower supply of gasoline. So it encourages, that's, it's the signal that this is what's going on. Then it acts as the incentive. It encourages and incentivizes individuals to consume less gasoline, so that there's more gasoline to go around. So the price is a rationing mechanism so that people don't, run to the gas station, fill up as much as they can, and then leave other people without gasoline. It's as if all these individuals are coordinating and deciding, okay, there's less gasoline to go around, we'll use less gasoline. Another example is land. Land has many uses. So, for instance, this comes from an episode of It's Always Sunny, making fun of those classic 80s skiing movies. You have a struggling old ski lodge. It gets bought by a developer, and then the area is fracked for natural gas, which is what Danny DeVito's character does in this episode. So resources are more valuable, using that to obtain those resources fracking is more valuable to individuals than continuing this old decrepit ski lodge that doesn't make much money anymore. Because of the prices of ski tickets versus the price of the natural resources that you're pulling out of the area, pulling out of that particular property, we're encouraging, in this case, Danny DeVito, to buy that place so we can earn a greater profit by providing those resources that the economy needs, that people within the economy value more than they value the ski resort. So there's a vast amount of knowledge that's required to know the value of all the alternate uses of a resource. There's so many ways, near infinite number of ways that you can use any one resource. So to know all of the resources combined is impossible thus far to store and to compare in any capacity. Not just that, you don't know the sum of all of the individual preferences. So all the individuals in the world, we don't know what their true preferences, what they enjoy, what they don't enjoy, what they value more, what they value less. Prices are able to aggregate this knowledge when people act on it, when they actually go out and they purchase goods and services. Aggregates this knowledge and then signals the value of relative uses to all the participants in the economy. People can easily see a price change because of a change in the relative scarcity of a resource. So something becomes relatively more scarce. There's less of it to go around. People cannot easily see why. They don't know what's going on in the oil market. They don't know what's going on in the tin market. They don't know what's going on in the dairy market or the market for discs. Whatever industry you want to look at, most people don't know what's going on there. And it would require asking pretty much everyone to find out what's going on. But when we see the prices change, people don't need to know that. They see the price change, they get that signal, and then it incentivizes them to act upon that signal, to consume less, or to know that they're able to consume more. Remember, as we said, knowledge is not complete, so prices are not perfect. Conditions are constantly changing, and more knowledge is constantly being discovered and being aggregated. Now, these imperfections in price, these attract entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs profit from better meeting consumer needs. They create new products. They find new, cheaper ways to produce the same products. They can bring new ideas or bring new products in many different ways. Entrepreneurs have a propensity to discover previously unrecognized profit opportunities. So there's ways that have existed for a while to make a profit, to better meet consumer needs. Entrepreneurs discover that way. They figure it out, and they actually act upon it. They discover ways to solve problems that we haven't been able to solve in the past. Now, they earn profits for themselves. They make money for themselves, but they also make society better off because they're meeting consumer needs that have not been met before. Not only do prices aggregate and disperse economic knowledge, but they actually incentivize people to solve the problems we face. So prices, in essence, help drive discovery of new ideas, of new products, of new ways to meet consumer needs. So a high price may be annoying. It may, it's not fun to pay that, to struggle to afford something, but it helps encourage lower price goods later on and better goods later on. So the basic mechanism at work here is that ignorance results in an imperfect world and imperfect prices. These imperfect prices provide profit opportunities for entrepreneurs. And then the feedback that the market gets or gives, whether a good meets consumer needs or not, prevents errors from continuing and encourages more firms, more entrepreneurs to produce the types of goods that individuals want. I've included a reading from Don Boudreaux in this section, which you'll look at later. In the piece that he writes, the basic idea is that the economy has unexploited opportunities. There's opportunities to profit and to meet consumer needs. The role of the entrepreneur is in exploiting them, is in figuring out what those opportunities are, how to solve them, and then providing whatever good or service is needed to meet those needs. And a lot of basic economic courses are flawed by ignoring this process. They don't focus on it, and this is truly one of the most amazing things that we can study, that we can learn about in economics. These unexploited opportunities can be thought of as a market failure. It's a case when the market fails to improve the human condition as much as possible. So entrepreneurs, their role is to improve the functioning of the market and to better meet humanity's needs. Markets is full of all sorts of errors that allow entrepreneurs to be able to improve our lives. I just want to briefly touch on the different types of entrepreneurship. There's two basic ideas. The first is the discovery idea. So the idea that entrepreneurs discover a new way of doing something, a new process or a new product that builds upon the old products or old way of doing things. A great example being the use of computers and of the internet back in like the 90s and 2000s. Firms began incorporating them into their production processes or into their sales, and it made them more efficient, made them better, but it was still the same basic process and idea. The other type of entrepreneurship is creative destruction, whereby a new industry or a new product destroys the old industry and old products. So the automobile replaced the horse and buggy. Records were replaced by cassettes, which were replaced by CDs, which is now being replaced by streaming. One new industry kills the old, while in discovery, one new product or new idea, new process builds on top of the previous. Now, any economic analysis that leaves out the role of entrepreneurs is flawed. Their role is to exploit opportunities, like we've said, and to increase overall welfare. This is how the market functions. If you're trying to study what's going on in the market and you don't take this into account, you're missing a big piece of what's going on. The economy is full of errors, and there's smart people out there trying to correct those errors, trying to better meet consumer needs than we have in the past. Now, these market failures are either reasons for government intervention. The market fails to make people as well off as it could. So either the government could step in and do that, or it's an opportunity for some entrepreneur, to innovate and to profit. Some situations, depending on what the situation, the circumstances of the market failures, sometimes it's appropriate for the government to step in. Sometimes it's an opportunity for entrepreneurs to step in. This slide comes from the textbook makers. I really liked the Henry Ford quote in here, so I wanted to include that. The best entrepreneurs create products that consumers never even knew they wanted. So Henry Ford said, if I had asked my customers what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. So entrepreneurs, they take risks. They're willing to sacrifice it. Running your own business takes a lot of hours. Trying to get it off the ground, you don't pay yourself for 2-3 years for most small business owners. There's a lot of risk entailed in this, but they discover an opportunity, a new product or a new way to meet consumer needs. Henry Ford thinks these people want to transport themselves and they want to do it faster. Well, instead of just trying to train or breed a faster horse, he develops a totally new product to be able to meet those same needs that people had before. People didn't realize it, that an automobile was the way to solve their problem. It was, and obviously Henry Ford didn't invent the automobile, but he popularized it for so many of the American consumers. There wasn't a possibility for them before. He began doing it less expensive with the assembly line.